Welcome to the Huddle with ES.
This is a new podcast series where we're going to drop an episode every month, where we're going to talk about new and exciting things with ES Solar and about renewable energy, and answer some of your questions about solar and a battery.
Exactly. So to introduce ourselves, my name is Josie.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is Chris Loock, the CEO of ES Solar, and Jeff Dimond, the COO of ES Solar. They're sport enthusiasts, long life best friends, entrepreneurs, business partners, dads. The list goes on, right? Lots and lots of titles. So before you guys became business partners, you guys became friends. So where did that friendship begin?
So I'll start because it probably happened mainly because of me. Not that he didn't want to be friends with me, but my family moved in summer of third grade lived in like central Layton, and then we moved more to East Layton, and Jeff was like around the corner, I don't know, quarter mile away from me, and we were in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
Same ward, met him at church, and we just kind of hit it off. I don't think he liked me that much at first. I had to beg him to be friends, but then we started hanging out.
Yeah, I don't remember how it happened exactly, but this was obviously before cell phones, so probably moms might have got on the old landline and hooked up a play date. I remember the day. I remember it was as weird as it sounds. I remember we were walking up. I grew up on Country Oaks Drive was the name of the street, and you were one street over on Oak Lane. And we met kind of in the middle. I think Ty might have been with us. And I remember you came walking up, and I'm like, that is the coolest Orange Crush t-shirt I've ever seen. That's what I remember about the first time we met. And I think it was the summer of third grade.
Yeah, it was the summer of third grade.
A long time ago. So.
Third grade. And best friends since third grade. Just so you know, though, for the record, I had a lot of swag back then.
He did.
My mom dressed me.
Mama Luke. Really he had Z Cavaricis before anybody else. Some Gerbots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had all the cool stuff. Braided belts. Yeah, well.
I did.
That's awesome. So since third grade to now, you guys have been friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gone to school together, elementary school, then I would assume.
Yep.
Right?
Elementary, then North Layton Junior High, Hook'em Horns, and then Layton High for 1 year. And then Northridge High was built, the year of 92, 93. And then there's a big group of friends that we still kind of all pal around with, and we all decided to make the choice to go to Northridge High, and then first graduating class of Northridge High.
There you go. And then college?
The next year.
College, we both went to Weber State, but Jeff went on a mission, and I got married right after high school. So I was almost done with college probably by the time Jeff started, really.
Yeah, I started in, it would have been the spring of 98. And you were done in what, like 90?
I was done like 97, 98. Like right
we are dating ourselves.
We're old.
Yeah.
Just so you know, though, this is like fun facts and stuff. I mean, you got to realize, like, we've spent more time probably together than with anyone else. Even our spouses, really. We've known each other so long. And I mean, we built our first tree houses together. Yeah. And I mean, I remember when Jeff got his first kiss, and I was hiding in the bathroom stall in the boys' bathroom, and we both got sent to the principal's office in like fifth grade.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've done a lot of stuff together.
A lot of stories.
All the way back.
Yeah, a lot of cool memories.
Now, how did you become business partners? Because it sounds like you've been kind of business partners from the very beginning. I mean, you've been with each other throughout so many things, but how did you get into business together? What started that? Just your friendship, and you just kind of moved forward with that, or how did that start?
Yeah, I mean, we both were doing different things. Jeff was in the car business. I was doing land development and real estate stuff. And then when the market turned, it just kind of threw a loop, and everything we've been doing the last 10 years was done. I mean, it didn't matter how good Jeff was at cars, people couldn't finance them. It didn't matter how many good subdivisions I had, people couldn't buy stuff because there were no loans out there. So we both kind of had our worlds turned upside down a little bit. At the time, we got together, and we thought it'd be fun to do something, and we literally whiteboarded 20 ideas on a whiteboard on cool companies we could start together, things we could do. We both, I think, felt really strong that we wanted to not go work for somebody, that we wanted to do our own thing. I mean, I think I've been an entrepreneur since 20 years old. I haven't worked for somebody for a long, long time, and I just couldn't imagine doing that. And being friends, we always thought it'd be cool to do something together. So that's when it started, and we whiteboarded a bunch of stuff up there. And funny enough, solar was one of the things we whiteboarded. But at the time, it was, I mean, you think about 2000, this is like 2009-ish, nobody was doing solar. And it was like pretty scary. And we looked into it a little bit, and with how cheap our power rates were in Utah and how expensive solar was back then, we ended up crossing that one off the list. But the one thing we did end up wanting to do is we really liked the energy saving industry. Like just anything we could do to help people save money on their utility bills just seemed like something we really liked, made a lot of sense for us. And so then we kind of circled on there, energy savers insulation. And there's a little more to that. I'll let Jeff kind of tell why we did insulation.
Yeah. My brother-in-law at the time had a friend that this insulation, there was an insulation rebate. He didn't even know a lot about it, but he had a friend that was doing this, insulation rebate business. Sounded kind of interesting. So I talked to him, and what it ended up being was the local utilities kind of had a choice. And so at the time they were looking at either building more infrastructure to service their customer base, or they were willing to incentivize them to save what they were already, sending out, conserve energy. And they did that by offering a, window rebate and insulation rebate. And one of the best ones was this insulation rebate, because we could almost go around to homes, install insulation for free by having them endorse the rebate check over to us. And if we did it enough, so that's how that all got started. And then kind of as things moved on, it just morphed into, we were really, really like jacked about saving people 10 or 12% on their power bills. And then Chris is at a was it a summer barbecue or something?
Yeah, like a family reunion.
And his uncle is like an OG in the solar world. He was doing solar in 1994 before solar was, it was so cost prohibitive and just no good reasons to do it in the 90s, but he was doing it anyway. He was an electrical engineer. He was like, why don't you do solar? And so that kind of jump started us into our solar careers. And we started off by installing, in solar for a few local sales companies, I guess, and got trained up on that. And then we just kind of gradually morphed away from insulation and into solar as a kind of a standalone product. And here we are today.
Wow.
So
one thing I think too, there was one kind of maybe step in there too where, at first when we're doing installation, think how cool that'd be just to be able to run around, knock doors for free. Let us save you 10% on your bills and throw some insulation in your attic for free. That was just the easiest thing ever to sell. And then that kind of went away where it wasn't free anymore. And the whole program morphed into more of a whole home deal where now we became energy auditors, BPI and HER certified energy auditors. We had blower doors. So now we're testing the home for leakage. We had infrared guns so we could find, where we really needed insulation of the walls. There was air sealing, duct sealing, replacing windows. And it morphed into just looking at a whole home and not just insulation, just what could we do to try to save them like 20 to 30%. And so we got really, really good at doing that. And then that's when I kind of ran into my uncle and he just said, well, geez, you're doing all this other stuff for the home. Why not just get rid of the power bill? And that's when we started adding. At first it was like Jeff said, we were doing it for a few guys that were just out selling, but we also included it in our little package of stuff. And, a couple customers wanted to do it, and it ended up being then a couple more. And then next thing you know, we started our own sales force just doing solar, and it turned into, like Jeff said, probably by 2014-ish, maybe, we were doing 90% solar.
Okay.
And at that point, it was really hard to keep all the guys who were doing insulation installs, like knowing what they were doing. We kind of started changing them all over to solar because we needed more of that. And honestly, it got to the point where we really didn't have any guys left that knew what they were doing and other stuff. So we just focused strictly on solar because that's what customers wanted. And think about it, with solar, again, we're doing all these little things and cost customers $3,000 to save 20% of their bill. And now we can give them a loan. And with the tax credits, back then we could put solar on somebody's home and it was cheaper than their power bill. And you're wiping out half of their utility costs. So solar just made so much sense at that point for us to get into. And obviously the market really wanted it. You can see what the solar industry's done since then.
Yep.
So since 2009, you guys jumped into energy,
Yep.
right? Until now
Yep.
with ES Solar. So we see there are a lot of other industries, I guess, of sales, and there's quite a few other solar companies. So what makes ES Solar different from just an average everyday solar company?
For me, it's easy. I think it's just from day one, I feel like we've just done it right. I mean, even doing the installation, there were a lot of guys who were cheating. You know, it's easy. You're up in a dark attic up there and you have to add 8 inches of insulation for these guys to get rebates. And there were companies out there that would add 2 inches because it was hard for anyone to tell the difference. And eventually they started getting caught. But from day one, we always did it right. So the utility companies liked us. And so they'd come to us with new programs. But by doing it right with our customers, I just think, I mean, we a ton of customers we did installation for, we've now done solar for. You know, we get a lot of referrals from customers because we're definitely not perfect, but as you guys know, our motto here is 100% customer satisfaction. And by trying the best to take care of our customers, I personally think that's the main reason why we've been so successful. There's a lot of other companies out there that just, it's all about money. They don't care, and they're just going to go to whatever market pays them the most, whatever's hot. So when net meters change, they'll run to another market and forget about their customers, or things come up. They just don't want to dip into their pocket to help people out. And we've always done better than that, I think.
Yep, I agree. I think the first solar customer we ever installed with the help of Dave, we didn't just go cowboy on this. I mean, we had help, and we knew he knew what he was doing, and he was teaching us. But it was your old neighbor. I remember thinking, look, this is Chris's neighbor. Like, not that we weren't going to do it right anyway, but just knowing that we were a rare breed in that we stick around. We grew up in this area. All of the customers we were going to be helping were likely going to be some of our old former neighbors or friends or family, whatever. And I remember thinking, if I run into her or anyone else that we help, like, I don't want to have to duck around the corner at a Smith's and avoid that person. Like, I want to be able to walk up and shake their hand. And so I agree. I think doing it right doesn't mean we got it 100% right the first time, but owning our mistakes and fixing problems and doing it right, I think is why we're here today, because we do right by the customer. So,
and Jeff's right. Some of our best customers that have given us the most referrals are customers that we maybe screwed up at first. I mean, I can think of a handful of people that we did something wrong or we screwed up and they were mad. I mean, they had every right to be mad, but we made it right for them. And just by us making it right, I mean, again, I don't want to drop any names here, but I can think of at least 2 that we had multiple referrals from, and they were customers were mad at first because we messed up. But like Jeff said, we've always had the long plan. We didn't want to do this just for a couple of years and then disappear. So we always knew we were going to be here for hopefully as long as the solar market's good. And nobody wants to be afraid of your customers, and you run into them at a Home Depot and you're like, oh shoot, we hosed that guy, I want to hide or something.
But yeah, you learn from your mistakes, but you fixed it because you learned from it. You just move forward. That makes them happy because you did fix what happened.
Exactly.
Yep. I think that's all people really expect. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be just perfect every time the first time, but we fix them. So.
And where do you see ES Solar next, like in the future? Like right now, where things at, where do you see it in the next 5-10 years, or where do you see the solar industry going?
So I think as long as people are using electricity, the solar industry is going to be here. And we have an issue really as this, I don't want to say society, but just as a world where we are using more and more electricity and electronic products all the time. I mean, look what EV cars are going to do to our grid here in the future. And I don't think anybody, it doesn't matter if you're an environmentalist or not, I don't think anybody's too excited about a whole bunch more coal plants. I mean, we all care about the air we breathe, right? And so doing clean renewable energy to keep up with this stuff is big. It's important for the grid. It's important for our country. But it's also the cool thing about it, and the thing I've always liked about solar, is it gives you an independence. Like, you're not just dependent on Rocky Mountain Power, which we have a great utility company in Utah. I mean, there's a lot of places out there that aren't near as fortunate as us. But even that being said, like, I want to control my own power. It's pretty cool that I can put a power plant on my house and be independent and know that I have power. And so not only are we helping the grid by doing that, but I think we're helping people just be more self-reliant, which is important these days and time. I think you need to be able to be self-reliant. And honestly, I think just that being said, with the industry, we have big plans. I mean, we're hopefully going to be a known name in the Western United States in the next 3 to 5 years. We're definitely going to be expanding to some other states, and we have way too many talented and good people here to just be stagnant. We want to grow and give opportunity to people that work here so they can keep growing. And again, there's tons of opportunity for us to continue doing that.
Yeah. From a market approach standpoint, I think that the future is batteries. We've seen that, right? We have the benefit of seeing everybody else that has a high penetration rate with solar do it wrong. And so we've seen it in Europe, in multiple places in Europe. We've now seen it in California. And, Utah's not there yet as far as penetration rate. I think we're at like 2 or 3% of Utahns have gone solar. But what happens eventually is solar alone with panels only becomes detrimental to the grid at some point, right? It's too much injection of power and not enough storage. And so really batteries is the future. I think we understand that. I think we were an early adopter. We were really lucky to have, some good partnerships with Sonnen, and they helped us understand that problem. I think a lot of solar contractors are learning that now, or maybe even still have their head buried in the sand a little bit and think that, solar only is the way to go. But I think that is the future of ES solar, is spreading that message to the world, really. I mean, as we have more EVs coming online and, you get a new phone, it's never smaller and the battery never lasts, not quite as long as the old one. It's always, 20% more battery. I mean, we're using more electricity as a society. And so there's a need for that storage. And it's cool to think that we're, in a small way being part of the solution there, and not perpetuating mistakes that have happened in Europe and California and all across the world, really. And we're kind of doing it right the first time. So it's going to be cool to be, again, small part of that change, but that's going to be exciting. 5-10 years from now, when virtual power plants are kind of dot the map, and we don't have scheduled outages anymore because there is enough storage to cover that demand, or during an outage, people can take advantage of the backup power. I mean, there's so many benefits to storage. I see that's the future of the market of solar, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we're lucky. I mean, Jeff's absolutely right with the batteries. How many people do you know that are able to sell somewhere in a market that isn't just win-win, but literally what we do is win-win-win-win. I mean, it's a win for Rocky Mountain Power because we're or any area we're in, because it helps the grid tremendously by doing batteries. Mm-hmm. It's a win for the customer because now they have all the benefits of solar. It's a win for the environment, which again, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, it does help. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many things that are good about solar. It's just, we're lucky we're in something that it benefits so many people. Yeah, it's a win. The fourth would be a win for the company. Yep. It's good for us. We provide a lot of jobs, and a lot of people can provide for their families because it's good.
Yeah.
That's true. Not only are you helping the individual or the family, but that family then helps the community, which then helps the state, which then just grows.
Yeah.
So all of this kind of started out back in 2009 on a little whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Back in 2009 on a little whiteboard, you guys wrote your ideas, circled one, got some help, of course, and then you stuck with it. And now it's 14 years later?
Yep.
Yeah.
Give or take, right? 14 years later. And so now we are in Utah. And what other locations are we in, or are you guys hoping to open up?
So right now we're in Utah, Wyoming, and Idaho, and we have very imminent plans to be in California, Nevada, and parts of Arizona. In 2024, we will be servicing those 3 new markets, and maybe one more, but slow and steady wins the race, right?
Hey, it's kept you guys here.
I mean, you kind of make me think back, and it's just, I remember when it was just me, Jeff, and a box truck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we literally started. Me and Jeff would knock doors, and a box truck would be behind us, and as soon as we sold some of the attic insulation, they'd come in, and And next thing you know, we have 2-box trucks and then 3-box trucks. And then pretty soon there was more guys out selling than just us. And it's just crazy that we went from just that to 300 and whatever employees now, and probably getting close to 20,000 customers at this point. It's crazy to think about.
Yep.
That's crazy. And it's also awesome, as your employees can see. As leaders, you guys have done the work. You know what everyone in the office is doing because you guys have done it too. So you guys are kind of there to guide everyone, push everyone. And then you're not only the leaders of the company, but you guys are also customers of your own product.
Yep.
I would
guys have
never
the
sell
product.
something that I didn't believe in and have.
Yep. I agree.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry, Jeff.
No, you're good. Go
It's
on.
funny you say
I love
that
it.
because there's one other story I got to tell you that's really funny.
Okay.
'Cause we really have everything we've done here. Jeff and I've done first. Like we're on the roofs installing our first probably 12 solar jobs and attic insulation and all that stuff. So there's a product called radiant barrier.
Oh,
Okay, probably the worst thing we've ever installed. And it is what it is it looks like tin foil, but it's not. It's a thicker product. You put it up in your attic and it reflects radiant heat, so the attic stays cooler. Well, we didn't install that on the first couple of jobs, but a few of the guys, namely Jordan Weeks, was really whining about how hard it was. And so Jeff and I just thought, dude, you guys are being wimps. We're gonna go show you how this is done. And so middle of summer, an attic can get 130 plus degrees. It's hot. And me and Jeff have been in the office for a while, so I'm maybe great shape. And we go do this house, and it wasn't even that big. And it takes our guys probably 3 to 4 hours to do a job that size back in the day. We were there for like 10 hours. We had to get out of the attic 3 different times. I thought I was going to throw up because of heat stroke.
Yeah.
Jeff was sick for
I
like
got
2
sick.
days.
I got sick. I had to go home. The installers don't know about that yet.
They don't do radiant anymore. We can let them know. That was hard, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys are animals.
Your blood, sweat, and tears into starting to come to trying something
Yep.
different. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. What makes ES Solar different from any other solar company out there?
So we get this question a lot, actually. I think it's important to understand the different, like a solar company isn't a solar company isn't a solar company, if that makes sense. There's a different way to do your business as a solar contractor. There's what we would call, in no particular order, I guess, an EPC, which is mainly just the contractor. They swing the hammers, they engineer, and they install the solar, usually for a sales team, right? And then there's that end of it. There's the sales team that is just, they might one summer be in Massachusetts and the next summer they're in somewhere else, right? And then there's a fully vertical company that does everything from generate their own leads to install their own cells to sell their own cells to install their own cells to warranting and providing customer service for those cells. And that's us. And in my opinion, that's what is good for the industry. That's what sets us apart. Not that we're the only one that does it that way. There's a lot of people that do, but by and large, the most common model is the EPC and sales company model, which isn't bad. There's just a little bit of a conflict of interest there. And, the sales organization has kind of one goal in mind, and then the EPC kind of, bears the burden of whether they did their job right or not at times. And so where we control every aspect of the cell, it provides a better customer experience, really. I mean, the customer knows that, in a year, if an optimizer fails, if some, little part in the system goes bad, it happens. They don't have to call the salesperson that says, "Oh, I'm not there anymore. I'm actually in Albuquerque now, but call this number." And then maybe they get a hold of somebody on that side, maybe they don't, and if they do, maybe it's, your sales organization didn't provide any, kind of extra in that contract to fix this, take it up with the manufacturer. And it's just, they end up kind of chasing their tail at times, not all the time. But in my opinion, that's what sets us apart, is we want control of every facet of the process so that we can, have quality control and a better customer experience.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, our long goal is to take care of customers. If you don't control everything, like if we just had sales guys out that don't even work for us, all they care about is commission, which is what a lot of these sales, they're called dealers, do, because they don't really care about that customer. They're not even going to be around long term anyway. They're going somewhere else. So they're just trying to get the biggest commission they can, and they'll mislead, and who knows what they're saying to customers. Like, then the poor EPC that installs it, they have to hear a customer say, well, the sales guy told me to do this, and this, and fly, and whatever crazy stuff. And then they're left with it, trying to figure out how to make it work. But they can tell the customer, hey, sorry, you got to go to your sales guy about that. He doesn't even work for us. And it's just a messed up way in my mind of doing business. I don't know how that's best for customers. So that's why we want to be fully integrated, because that is what's best for a customer. That's where they're going to get taken care of the best.
For sure.
Good question.
Thank you.
So you guys have 100% control in-house. You guys determine how you're selling, who you're selling, how it's installed, and how they're taken care of after, correct?
Yep.
So would you say that's probably the biggest difference then versus any other solar company, is you guys are 100% in-house, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's other companies out there that do that. I think we do it maybe for a different reason than they do. We just want to provide a good customer experience and have control over the whole situation so that we get 100% customer satisfaction, right? Somehow it always boils down to that.
That's awesome. So then kind of just to end, this one, just think a little more on if you guys could choose one word to describe ES Solar in these past 14 years. It could be kind of what you guys have gone through or what you guys are moving forward. What's like a little phrase or one word you guys would use to describe this time? You guys can take your time
Can I
to
break
think.
the rules and do 2 words?
You can do a little
just
phrase.
because it's on my mind.
A quote, whatever comes to your mind when you guys think, we started this ourselves, look where we've come, look how much people we've helped.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
For me, this company was born out of deliberate discomfort, right? We just read that book as a company, a lot of us, written by a local special forces. He's a Green Beret. He's gone through everything a human can possibly go through that's uncomfortable. And I think that really sums up for me the way, something is always changed. This industry is always changing and moving. And I feel like we're a boxer just kind of rolling with the punches and try not to get knocked out. Just take a jab here and there and move on and eventually maybe win the fight. But for me, it's 2 words. Sorry, I broke the rules. But
that's perfect.
I think not that it's bad. I mean, it's a good thing. I think it's good to be uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If everything's a lazy boy and Netflix, you just don't, you just don't grow. Yeah, so for me, I think that's a good way to sum it up for me.
Deliberate discomfort.
Deliberate discomfort.
That's good. That's really good. Probably for me, I would say maybe overwhelming and humbling. A little bit. It just to think of how we've grown and where we've started, where we came. Sometimes it just almost feels surreal. It's like, Jeff and I are just normal guys. Like, how the heck did we grow a company like this? And when I say we, I'm definitely not taking all the credit with us, because we have just been lucky to have some incredible people here that have helped grow the company. But it's still overwhelming to think that we started this on a little whiteboard and look at it now.
I'd like to thank Chris and Jeff again. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. And thank you for the customers for listening to us. And stay tuned for more episodes coming up each month.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.